Welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Carrie Barnum for New Shelves Books, and we are here to talk about the business of being an author, publishing, marketing, pretty much anything you can think up, we'll talk about. We do have some questions that were sent in to email prior to our call today, which you are welcome to do anytime. Send questions to info at newshelves.com. I save those up and answer those on Fridays. Or you can always join us live by going to newshelves.com/FAF for Free Advice Friday. And we do a live call. We take live questions. So we're going to get started with our emailed questions today. And then we'll see where everything takes us from there. The first question we had was from Elle, and Elle says, please remind us indie authors about how working with bookstores works. There is a 60-40 split terms for making books available to bookstores, but how exactly does that work? What do we need to know, and how do we speak the lingo so we look like pros when we're doing it? So as far as bookstores are concerned, yes, if you are going to be working with a bookstore, they are going to be looking for, it's a 60-40 split. So 60% is what the publisher gets. 40% is what the retail or bookstore would get. So for example, if we have a book for sale for $10 and it sells at a bookstore, the bookstore would get $4 and the publisher, which would then, if you're indie, it would be the author publisher, would get $6. And so that's how that works. Now, this is if it is on consignment. So if it's on consignment, that's how it works. But if we are going through Ingram, so we're actually asking bookstores or retail stores to purchase our book wholesale. The way that that works is that you're going to set your book up so that the bookstore or the retail store gets a 40% discount when they're ordering. And you can call it 40% discount, but it's also known as trade discount because that's what's expected in the trade. And from there, it's a little bit different than if we were just doing a consignment deal, because a consignment deal is you're purchasing your author copies, you're taking those to the bookstore, asking them if they'll put them in their store, and then if it sells, you get 60%, they get 40%. But when we are going through Ingram, it's a little bit different because you're either going to be using print on demand or you're going to have offset print and be working with a distributor. If you're going offset print and working with a distributor, then the way it works is you print your books, you send your books to the distributor who also gets paid for warehousing and putting your book into the different wholesalers like Ingram and Baker and Taylor. And then there's a trade discount. So you can see where, things start to cut into the profit margin. If you're doing offset print, books tend to be a little bit cheaper than if you're doing print on demand. So, there's that. But you're $10, let's say you're $10 retail, and then the trade discount is still $4. So that's off right there. So you're left with $6. From that $6, you have to get your book printed. Let's say printing your book offset costs $2. So now you're left with $4. And then you still have to pay your distributor, who will often take 15 to 23%, just depending on the terms, because you guys know me in math. We're going to go with an even 20%. So if you're left with $4 and they are getting a 20% off of the retail price, then that is going to be $2, because remember, it was a retail price of $10, leaving the author or the publisher with $2 in profit. And so hopefully that math makes sense, but you're seeing where we kind of started with the $10 and then bookstores take their cut, the distributor takes their cut, the wholesaler takes a part of that as well, and then the cost of printing comes out, and then we're left with the $2. Print on demand works very similarly. However, when you're doing something like that, it's typically done through Ingram Spark. So the way that it works is we have our $10 retail price, and you would still have to set your discount so that retail stores get their 40%, so that $4 off. But we are not working with a distributor. So what it is that when you're setting the discount, Ingram Ingram Spark is paid to print, so they're just printing your book. But Ingram Wholesale takes a 15% cut. So when you're setting your book up for print on demand, you have to set your book up for trade terms. You have to set the book at a 55% discount because $40 for the retailer and 15% for the wholesale distribution channel of Ingram. So you're getting 55% right off the top. So in this case with print on demand, we have our $10 minus 55%. So what's that? $5.50. I'm so proud of my math so far. Sorry, I had to brag on myself. So we have $5.50 is immediately taken out, leaving the author, the publisher, with $4.50. But then we have to take out the cost of the book printing, and print on demand is usually more expensive than offset print. So in this scenario, let's just say that instead of $2 for offset print, print on demand is going to be $3.50. So we had our $10 minus the 55% is $4.50, and then $3.50 goes to the printing, which leaves the author or publisher with $1 per copy sold through Ingram. So you can see how the maths and that publishing and book sales in particular is not, it's really a volume game. How much can you sell and how much does it matter to you? This is not where selling a book's going to get you $5. That's not how it works. Not typically anyway. Now, when you're working direct through Amazon, it's different because you don't have the wholesaler middleman and you're not offering the same discounts. So Amazon just takes their cut right off the top, and that's a 60-40 split, like it would be with a bookstore, but you don't have that middle person, so you're able to earn more. So with bookstores, you want that trade discount, which is going to be 40% off on the wholesale end. What a lot of authors who are using Ingram Spark do, and a mistake I see often, is they'll say, oh, you can buy my book at Ingram Spark for 55% off. This is not true. No one buys your book from Ingram Spark because Ingram Spark is just a printer. You want to tell the bookstore that your book is available through Ingram Wholesale, which they will recognize, at a trade discount, which is 40% off, because even though you're setting your Ingram Spark book at 55%, it's going to be 40% when it gets to the retail portion. So I know that's kind of like a big process, and I know it can be kind of confusing, but that's kind of the different routes to where we get where we're going and what the pricing looks like. Now, for bookstores, they will often also expect returnable options. Know that returns are not something anyone wants to do. No one makes money when a book is returned. So bookstores don't want to return books. However, it's like an insurance policy. They buy 10 copies of your book and none of them sell. They want to be able to send it back and not be out the money. So returns are a very real thing. And usually returns are allowed 180 days after the purchase. So that's a long period of time. That's like 6 months. So returns are something, it's a risk. Some indie authors simply cannot or do not want to take that risk, so they set their book non-returnable. Many stores will not stock a book that's non-returnable. Not no stores, but many will not. Or they will be very limited in how many copies they stock. They may not stock it at all, just depends. So know that if you set your returns, that is a business risk. That is one of those things that you need to plan for. Do not spend your royalties right away, because if your book is returned, you are responsible, number one, for paying back the royalty you earned. But also you're responsible for either paying for those books to be shipped back to you, or for you can have them destroyed, which is where they rip off the front of the cover. We've all seen those posts on social media where, there's a bunch of books and they're in the dumpster and all of their, they're either ripped in half or their front cover is ripped off, and everyone's like, how could someone do this? Well, that's how returns are done. So in order to return something, rather than shipping a whole box of books back, a destroy, the way we call it, a destroy return, is where they just rip off the cover and then they can just ship a flat envelope for a couple bucks of those covers saying that they're no longer saleable because they're missing a cover. But that is a risk. If you set your book as returnable, sometimes you can end up in the hole. You need to be savvy about it, and make sure that that's worth it to you. For authors who are really working to pitch bookstores, who that's a big goal of theirs, or authors who it means a lot to them to be into bookstores, it's a calculated risk and they'll take it. But for some authors, it's simply not worth that risk. So they will set their book non-returnable and then do like consignment or different options at local bookstores. Again, sometimes local bookstores will do a very limited number of copies non-returnable, but it's not standard. So that is kind of one of those things. If you would like a deeper dive into the bookstore market and how books are sold. If you go to the New Shelves website and you go to our store, there is a master class that I've done. It's a retail sales for authors master class. It's $19.99. So it's under $20 and that's a full master class. It's got some templates and pitch sheets and things like that. So that is available if you want a deeper dive into that market. I'll drop the link in the chat for anyone who's live. And then anyone watching the replay, you can find it on the New Shelf store. Bookstores are a beautiful thing, and I love to see them. I love to be in bookstores, and I love to cheer bookstores on. But I would also say bookstores are no longer the golden ticket to success that they used to be, considering that Amazon sells about 70% of print books and 87 to 91% of ebooks, depending on if we're in the US, UK, or Canada. But it's a massive market on Amazon. And so while I love bookstores and I love to support them and I love to see my authors have their books in bookstores, you can be successful without bookstores. And bookstores are a lot of work. They feed into the larger publishers because of the way that they've been set up and the terms that are required. They feed into large publishers who have their own warehouses, who are doing offset print. And so sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. But like I always say, it's more important to me that you have the information and you know what you're getting into. There's no right or wrong, but it's what are you getting into and going from there. All right, let's see. Eileen had a question about Facebook ads that we will take a look at. So we're not gonna, obviously we can't see Eileen's actual Facebook ad, but I will see if I can get into one of my accounts and share and see what we're up to. So the question from Eileen originally was, has Facebook changed in regards to how many people an ad will reach based on the amount paid for the ad? On November 14th, I put up an ad with the cover reveal for a book to be released in February. When I set it up, Facebook said I needed to spend over $200 in order to have much impact. I can't afford that much for a Facebook ad, nor should you start there. I set it at 30, which is doable for me, but it's not cheap. It popped up a message saying that I might not get any response for that amount. I couldn't afford more, so I went with it. As of today, which was November 19th, so 5 days later, it has received only 8 likes. I know there's no guarantee of how many likes a post will get, but in the past I've received in the thousands for a post I've spent even less money on. So is this kind of changing on what's required on the Facebook end? So yes, as far as Facebook is concerned, you can still reach a lot of people for very low cost. And the first question that I sent back to Eileen was, when you set up that Facebook ad, what agenda did you give it? So when you set up an ad, you can ask for awareness, traffic, different things like that. And so that was one of the questions I asked, because when you do that, it changes things. Absolutely, it does. So I'm going to get on Facebook and I'm going to show you some of the tips and tricks of Facebook ads here. I just need to make sure I get into the right account. Make sure I'm showing you my account and not someone else's, essentially. And Facebook, of course, is going to be slow as they are. All right, here we go. Let me And Facebook also isn't easy. You have to have like 5 tabs open. See, it's not my fault. I have so many tabs up open. It's really not. It's really because um all the places I work with, they make me do it. Alrighty. So let me share my screen to show you now. Okay. And Facebook ads, I have to say, I love Facebook ads for a number of reasons because with Facebook ads, you can use these for awareness to get more followers. You can use them to market a current book. You can use them for all sorts of things. So let's take a look here. This is one of my pages that's for books. And this is the back end of a business page. So if you don't have a business page, this is what the back end looks like. If you do, then this should look familiar. And when we're running ads, we can do it as a boosted post. And if you want to get more likes on a page, it is best if you post something like a meme, something that generally calls to readers, and you boost that post to get more awareness. So let me show you what that looks like. I always love when books end up on Jeopardy and things or trivia, and I know them. Let's see. So let's just, it's probably not gonna let me boost a post, but I can, here we go. So this was actually for a giveaway and I already did boost this one. So I'll look at that one in a minute. It's been a hot minute since I did this. All right, let's do this one. So you're gonna click on the boost post. It's gonna think for a while. I knew it. I knew it wasn't gonna let me. I was still trying to be lazy and do it. All right, I'm moving to another one. A lot of these are shared posts, and so they won't work. Yep, shared post. Here we go. All right, so this one was the original post, so I can do it. So if I were to go on here and I were to boost a post, which yes, does cost money, it's a form of advertising. So if I were to say, I want to get more people to like my Facebook page, automatic is what it will choose for me. Let Facebook choose, they say. We have your best interest in mind. It's lies, it's all lies. Really, Facebook, I don't like the automatic because it's wrong so often. I always change and decide what I want to do with my ad. So I'm going to hit the change button. And this is where we get a couple of questions. Do we want to get more messages? I have to say, more often than not, when doing an automatic, like I let Facebook choose, they set it up to get messages. I don't want people messaging me. Now, if you do, that's different, but you can choose get messages, get more engagement. This is where you're getting more people, and it's targeting people who are likely to interact with your post, to like it, to love it, to laugh at it, to comment. So get more engagement is what I would typically do for this kind of post. There's get more leads. And this is actually where it's going to, like when you click, it's going to send people to a form that they fill out with their information so you can then contact them. So I don't typically use this for authors either. If we were in a different business, if we were trying to collect leads, maybe, like maybe even New Shelves could use this to get more leads if we were looking for clients. But for authors, I don't typically use this. Get more website visitors is used all the time. This is where, hey, we want to send people to our Amazon sales page. We're going to get more website visitors. We want to target those people who are likely to click on an ad and go off Facebook. And then get more calls. Anyone who's called the New Shelves number knows that our voicemail says, oh, thank you for calling. You should email us. Not that I never speak on the phone, but in our worlds of consulting, we're often on the phone and can't take a phone call that's not scheduled. So I personally don't use this one. If you want phone calls for some reason, or it was a large company that had a call center, they might like those. But so that's what all of these are. I personally do get more engagement or get more website visitors. So Eileen, I would say, depending on what you're doing, if it's just a cover reveal and you just want to get a lot of buzz and people liking and interact with it, I do get more engagement. if you are trying to drive people from Facebook to your Amazon sales page for pre-orders, I do get more website visitors. So, one or the other. For this one, we're going to do get more engagement. No, here is where the AI part comes in. This is kind of the text. We're just as happy Monday after a holiday. And then these are different things where the AI is making suggestions. I can take them, I can leave them, I can say, yeah, I don't like this, and I want to change it to kickstart your week with a fresh cup of coffee and a good book. And then I could add that if I wanted to. And yes, it does allow you to have multiple text options, and it will kind of like A/B test within these ads. So that's one of the options, or you can just say, no, I just want to advertise it as I said it. Thank you very much. Then we've got here, and because we have Advantage plus Creative, this is where it'll deliver different ads, like A/B test within the ad for us. Now, this is very important. Do you see here where the button label says send message? Up here where it says send message, they're still trying to make it so people message me. I don't want people to message me. So we're typically going to change this and make it say either no button, I don't need a button, I just have what I have, or we can add a button and make that button say book now, learn more, shop now. So if this is for a pre-order, you might say shop now. I very often will say learn more, because learn more sounds less intimidating. Like shop now is like, oh, you're going to go shop. Whereas learn more is like, hey, you can just come to our page and look at it. You don't have to buy it now. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's like some deep psychological thing that I should look at for myself. I don't know, but I do learn more a lot. You can also do shop now. So we're going to do learn more. Yeah, I can just feel the peanut gallery over here thinking about that with me. So I'm going to do learn more. Then we have our website URL. Where do I want to send people? This can be my website. This could be my website. This could be your Amazon sales page. This could be, if you're sending people to Amazon, your Amazon attribution link that tracks those sales is what I would be using. Whatever, you can put pretty much any legitimate website URL here. So you put that here, and then you choose your audience. You can either do Advantage audience. And again, this is AI. This is where Facebook is using their AI to show your post and spend your money where they think it's best used. Now, the Advantage audience, there are a lot of different thoughts on this for if it's worth it or not, and how it works, and all of those things. The AI, in my opinion, takes too long and too much money to learn. If you're starting from scratch with ads and you use the Advantage Plus audience, you need to have $500 to burn through until it's going to learn who your real audience is. I don't know very many people who are like, here's 5 $100 bills, let's burn them. I wouldn't do that. But if you do not have the time, the skill, or ability to train the algorithms yourself first, that may be an option, or you call me, I'll take your $500. So that's an option. Anyway, I personally think that it works best when you create an audience, you train the algorithms on that audience, and then consider using the Advantage audience later down the road once you've trained the algorithms in Facebook who your audience is. So you need, in my opinion, to create an audience. So there's all these options. Choose people you choose through targeting. That's creating your own audience. People who like your page, people who like your page and similar to them. These two options are where you're literally targeting your own following. If you have 200 followers, you can only target your 200 followers. If you are doing this, then it's a little bit more broad, but I will say these tend to be expensive and I don't love them. Sometimes when you're targeting and you've got your right audience and that's who's following you, they will automatically see your post anyway. But just know that if you're doing something like people who like your page, you probably will, number one, have a much smaller reach because it's based on how many people you can reach. See how that just took away like the potential reach because it's just my audience. Um, and it's going to cost more. Not my favorite, but you can do it. People you like and people similar to them expands a little bit more, still not my favorite. I personally like to build my own audiences. As you can see, I've got a lot of different audiences that I've saved in my ad dashboard, and I won't get into all of that because that's a whole class on its own. Um, but these are kind of different options that you can do, or you can just say people you choose through targeting. So then I can go in here and I can edit and I can say, hey, these are the people I want to target. Um, there we go. It wasn't letting me edit. So I can, some basics. I can say, hey, while all people are welcome to read my book, my target demographic or people most likely to read it are going to be women ages, I don't know, 40, it's probably like 45 to 65 plus. I can even do locations. I personally always use a location. I most of the time will do United States only, especially if you're directing people to a .com website. If you're going to Amazon.com, United States only, because otherwise you're going to send UK people over to .com and it's going to say not available. It can be confusing and frustrating. If you'd like to run ads, like say ads to your Amazon sales page in different countries, I would recommend separate ads, one for US, one for UK, and using the appropriate link there. Also know that I will always use locations because if you just let Facebook go nuts, you get a ton of clicks, a ton of interest, and almost none of them will be legitimate. They will be from places that don't even speak English sometimes, and they're just clicking on posts, or there's bots and farms and things that do that. So I personally wouldn't do that. And then we need some detailed targeting. We want to tell them like who we want to target. You can say, you know, I want to target novelist. I could say women's fiction and it comes up. Now, sometimes you're going to search things and it's not going to come up. If, for example, I say, wow, I really love, well, this one will probably come up. So we can see Jodi Picoult, she shows up because she's big enough and if Facebook has deigned to put her as one of the targets. So people who follow Jodi Picoult would get in there. But if, for example, I say I'd also like, I think Nora Roberts is on here too. I've got to go with people who are newer. If I say Jenny Proctor, who is like a sweet romance author, she doesn't show up. In that case, that's okay. Just try something else. You can target things like Goodreads and all sorts of things. BookBub, Goodreads. So this is where knowing your target audience and knowing who you want to target is very, very helpful. This is where your comps come in. Know who your reader is. We are not playing the whole Christmas song from, you know, from whatever it is to age 99. That's not how it works. Your target reader is typically going to be more specific than that. They are going to be oftentimes one gender or the other, not always. They're typically going to be within a certain age range. Now, this does not mean this is the only person who can enjoy your book. It means they are the person or that demographic that is most likely to interact with your ad and convert to be a reader or a follower. So build out your list here, save your audience. Once you do that, you can see, yes, that there's estimated daily results. So this is saying that based on, and yes, this is great, based on running my ad for 7 days, which by the way, I have found that ads that run at least 2 weeks work the best. It takes several days for Amazon or Facebook, even when you have targeted like this, it takes several days for Facebook to kind of ramp up and to learn your audience and your ad. 2 weeks is the minimum time I typically run my ads on Facebook. Anything shorter, you don't get enough results, in my opinion. So there's that. And yes, it does matter when you start your ad. You don't want to start your ad when most people are not online. Don't start your ad in the middle of the night. Do not start your ad on a Monday morning or on a Friday afternoon when people are checking out. So try starting your ads on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, preferably midday or in the morning time. Because again, the quicker things pick up, we build those algorithms just like anything. So we don't want this ad kind of sitting there not getting results and Facebook being like, no one likes this ad. It's going to cost more to train it and get it in front of people. Anyway, they are saying, oh, we suggest that you spend a budget of $147 over 7 days in order to reach on average. And again, they are giving us their approximate reach, and they're saying we'll reach anywhere on daily. It's also important to see daily results. So they're saying we'll reach approximately 2.2 to 6.4 thousand based on the audience I've chosen, which does affect your numbers here. If you have gone too targeted, like you only want someone who is between 49 and 50. They must be a female and they must like Jodi Picoult. Our numbers are going to get smaller. So we want targeted, but we don't want something that's too targeted. I know, be perfect. But so this tells us our estimated reach at this budget amount. Now, most people, again, are not going to be spending that kind of money. So if we're going to do this, we can say, all right, I am going to spend, and also per day. This is total budget, and then reach per day. So know that certain ads, if you're setting them up, not this ad, not a boosted ad, but certain ads and the way you set them up will allow you to set a budget per day, and some allow you to set a budget over the campaign. I want to spend, for example, at least I just want to spend $1 a day. So I'm going to set my budget. Come on, I'm going to set my budget at $7. Now you will see here that it will allow me to do that. You have to spend at least $1 a day. Did you guys notice that when I went down to $6, it won't let me publish because you have to spend at least $1 a day. I usually, when starting with new ads, I recommend $2 a day has kind of been like the magic number of what works well to start getting things moving without breaking the bank. So that's what I typically recommend. But for this example, $7. And now we can see that my estimated daily results are much lower. However, if I am reaching 100 to 300 accounts, this is just an estimation. Now, I will tell you when I'm using memes and things like that, I will very often spend 1 penny, 1 cent per engagement. Well, I'm not very good at math, but even I know that there are 100 cents in a dollar. So I am actually very often reaching much more than that because they want to spend my money. They want to spend my 1 penny a day. Not everyone who sees the ad is going to interact. And I'm only going to be paying when people interact with the ad. It's cost per engagement because that's what I chose. If I was doing an ad that was sending people to a website, it would be cost per click. And those tend to be higher. Those tend to be, usually we try to keep them under 30 cents. The sweet spot is going to be in the 10 to 20 cent range, depending on what type of product you're advertising. But for an engagement, this is just an estimation. And it's a fair amount. And again, for $7, if I reach, let's call it 200, I'm reaching 1,400 1,400 accounts. I can use numbers in a range. That's okay. If I'm targeting the right people and I'm reaching almost 1,500 people so that for $10, I can get that kind of reach. Because also what happens is if you have a good ad, if you have a good target, and if you have an image that is intriguing people, this is why I like to use memes to build our audience. Then a lot of people are going to respond to it. What's great about this is then they'll start tagging people. And then not only are the algorithms learning, but then you're starting to get natural reach as well. So you're taking your boosted post, you're reaching the right people who then help you reach even more people without spending more money. That is a brilliant ad when you get that to happen. So Yes, pay attention to this, but not so much. It's an estimation. They don't know what your ad creative is. They don't know what your product is. If you are really targeting well, which changes how many people you'll reach, all sorts of things. So just know that it's helpful to look at, but they're guessing. It's like guessing how many jelly beans are in a jar. Yes, some brilliant person is going to tell me that if you do this and this and you calculate this, that you can know. Fantastic. Facebook is not trying that hard. They're like a sugar hyped up little kid making a guess. You know, when they have that big jar of jelly beans, they're like, I think there's 72. That is kind of Facebook deciding how many people you're going to reach. And as you can see, if I go up, if I say I'm going to spend $2 a day, $14 total. Really important that you notice if it's total or daily. I've had people set and think they've got a total budget of 14 and it's like a daily amount at 14 makes a big difference in your accounting. And yes, it about doubles it. They're just running some math. So then I decide how I want to run this, where I'm advertising to and how I'm paying, and then I hit publish, and then my ad will go through. So that is a boosted post. I'm going to check my comments here just to see if I have any questions that I can answer before I get off this page. Yeah, so I kind of talked about how reliable that potential post reach is. It's helpful, but it's not be all end all. The other question's on a different topic, which I'll hop on in just a second. So I wanted to show you a boosted post. This is the ads manager. So this was me boosting a post from Facebook, which I'm not going to do because I didn't actually target these things. And if I go off of it, it's just going to say, hey, you're going to lose all your stuff. And I'm going to say, yeah, it's fine. Anyway, so the ads manager is where you can see all your ads. It's where you can manage them more effectively. And so I'm going to show you, this was the one where I did the spicy romance. I targeted the demographic that I thought would do well for this. So if we're looking at this ad and looking at the data here, let me go. This was last month. Yes, so this was from last month. So you can see now my information's here. So we can kind of see that my reach was 1,019 people, which seems kind of low, but I got 92 clicks. So my reach was 1,000 people, but my click-through rate was almost 10%. So because I targeted well, I didn't need 100,000 people. I only needed to reach the right people. So my reach was 1,000. I got 92 clicks. You can see that I paid 13 cents per click. That's a great ad. That's a great cost per click. And then you can see that I only spent $12 to get those 92 clicks. Now, this one in particular was for a book funnel promo, so we needed those clicks to do our part and keep our reputation high. If I were, for example, doing this and I was trying to sell a book, well, then I would hopefully be using an Amazon attribution link and tracking that to see, okay, I got 92 clicks, I spent 13 cents each. How many sales did I make? And then I could calculate ROI and all that kind of stuff. Because depending, how many people are actually buying a book. Typically, it's going to be for a Facebook ad. A good Facebook ad, your conversion rate will often be about 10%. If you're asking them to outright buy, it may be higher if you're doing something like Kindle Unlimited, where they have to download something, not pay for something. But again, that's like a whole nother class, so we won't get into all of that. But we can also view our charts and we can kind of see some information about it. So for example, we have a click-through rate of 8.19. This is fantastic. A lot of people who work in ads will say that if you have over a 2.5 click-through rate, then you are targeting well, that your ad creative and your target market are jiving, and so that you're targeting well for that and using good ad creative. If you're over 2.5, we're obviously well over that. You can see I ran this ad for a very short amount of time because that's what my purposes were. Frequency is like, how many times is this being recirculated? Like, are people seeing it more than once? So that's kind of one of the things to kind of see, and that's fine. If it's over two, then that's where we're kind of double dipping a little bit. So we can see that, and then we can see the demographics of the people that I targeted. So I targeted women between 18 and 65, and you can see, and this can help me target better next time, that the older demographic was clicking more. Now my demographic is actually pretty, like, there are some books, this was spicy romance, so we had some more people in the younger area clicking. But there are some books like historical fiction, almost everyone is in the 45 up camp. Like these these columns would be non-existent. So you can kind of get some demographics and some info on those as well. And if you are connected to Instagram as well as Facebook, you would be able to see where people are getting those ads through Instagram, Threads, etc. I don't know that this account is. I don't remember. And then we can see, of course, more information about what my ad graphic looked like, and all of that kind of stuff for the ad. So you can see here, this one was for a book funnel ad. I did a really simple kind of like meme of a girl holding a book down. She reminds me of Velma from Scooby-Doo. Has nothing to do with anything, but it makes me happy. Anyway, and then I just said, in the top right-hand corner, I just put, I like it spicy. Of course, referring to spicy books. And then we had some quick, just where my spicy romance lovers at. We've got a whole page of free spicy ebooks available for download now through the end of the month. And then we had the link to BookFunnel. We connected to the BookFunnel, and we had learn more. You will notice that this ad, while it got 92 clicks, only got 5 engagements because Facebook was targeting the people who are likely to click on a link, not to engage. So while I would call this a very successful ad because I got the clicks I needed, my engagement was very low. Again, it depends on what you're targeting and why. It's really important for that. So there's that. So that is, my friends, on Boosted Post anyway, that is a crash course on Facebook ads. And of course, there is a lot more depth in Facebook ads, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more understanding of the what and the why, and how things might work or why things might not look like you want them to. All right, we've got one more question here. I'm going to run a free ebook giveaway of one of my picture books on Fussy Librarian this upcoming Monday and Tuesday. In your opinion, how effective do you think Fussy Librarian is? Does it drive more readers to other books in the series? So I like Fussy Librarian. However, I will say any type of ebook giveaway, um, any type of digital anything for children's books can be hard. So things like Fussy Librarian, Bargain Booksy, Free Booksy, those things, I love them and I use them often for marketing books. However, their list for children's books tend to be smaller. Now the cost for advertising is lower because of that, but it tends to be a smaller list, costs a little bit less, but therefore it's less effective because it's reaching less people. So in my opinion, it brings a lot of awareness. It can get downloads. There are people who do read digital assets to their kids. So yes, sometimes. However, in my opinion, it's not as effective marketing for children's books as it is for adult titles. For adult titles, we very often will see if it's in Kindle Unlimited, downloads and Kindle Unlimited page rates will go up. We will very often see more sales in the series, more reviews, and we'll also see series read through. Depending on the series, I will also say if a lot of people download your book and you're not seeing reviews and you're not seeing read through, then that means there's a problem with your book. That means either what you advertise, the category, whatever, what you're advertising the book as didn't hit the right audience. So you may be calling it fantasy, but fantasy readers who read in that genre may be like, hey, this has none of the marks of fantasy. Or they don't like your book and they're not reading through. So if your adult young adult, and you're doing these promos and you're not seeing read through or you're not seeing review, that's a mark of people not reading your book. They might download your book, but not reading your book, which hints at a problem either with the way that you've got it positioned and marketed, or it's hinting at an issue inside that there's something wrong with the storyline, a slow start. You're not finishing your book. If they, for example, are not downloading, if you do a free promo and you're not getting lots of downloads, or if you're doing a discount book and you're not getting a lot of downloads when you're using different platforms like that, then it's probably a problem with like your actual package. Is it your book cover? Is it your price? Different things like that. It really just depends. But that's what I'd be looking at if you're running a promo and not getting great responses. Children's books, again, it's a little bit harder because children are tactile. We tend to read books in print to kids. So you can have downloads, you can have reviews, you can have success. Sometimes you'll even see when you do an ebook promo, you'll actually see people start buying the print book because they're like, oh, this is cute. And then they buy the print book. But we typically see smaller response to children's books than we do on adult books. So just temper yourself with that. If you heard from someone who's a romance author who's like, I did a free promo and I got 5,000 downloads, and then after that I had 100,000 page reads for the next 3 months, your response and your results will be different with a children's book. So just be aware of. All right. And then the last question we had from Mark was about, it was about subtitles on a book. So I'm going to speak more generally to this so it applies to everybody. But when we're talking about subtitles for a book, if we are going to be releasing a second edition of a book, know that if you change your subtitle, it may mean that Amazon will not link your reviews. So if you've got 100 reviews on a book and you change your subtitle, Amazon may choose not to link your reviews to the new edition of the book. If you are just like changing your cover and you're changing your subtitle, know that Amazon will not change your subtitle. You can do it on the ebook. You cannot change the subtitle or title on a print book with that ISBN. So that means that you would be uploading a cover that has a different subtitle than is on the book, which kind of defeats the purpose. So if you are just changing the cover on your book, I would not change your subtitle. If you are doing a new edition of a book, just know that changing your subtitle comes with risks. And so you have to weigh those against, is the new subtitle worth it if I don't get my reviews pulled over? Maybe you only have 2 reviews on the book, so you don't really care. But that's one of the things you need to consider. And then as far as subtitle and choosing a subtitle, remember that your title is, especially for nonfiction, because usually we see subtitles with nonfiction, know that your title is kind of your attention grabber and your subtitle is your explanation. Tell us what's in the book. So your subtitle should be telling us something. It should be telling us what we're getting out of the book, what we're getting in the book. And so you really just have to think on that is, does it make sense? If I were to just use the subtitle, could someone tell me what the book was about? Not only does it have to be catchy, yes, and really your title is more of the catchy part. The subtitle should be more descriptive. Now, not boring, but more descriptive. So those are the things I'd be looking at if I was looking at whether or not I should change a subtitle or which subtitle to choose. Also, of course, keep in mind that your title and your subtitle are 2 of your biggest SEO and metadata points. So yes, it is smart that when choosing a nonfiction subtitle, it is smart to kind of look at the keywords that might be in there. And are they going to elevate your book? So for example, if I'm writing a book on publishing, I would be saying a publishing and marketing guide for authors, because publishing, marketing guide, and authors are all great keywords, and it tells you what's in the book. So those are kind of some of the things we think about when we're going into subtitles for a nonfiction book. Yeah, awesome. Well, everybody, it is 11 o'clock, so I'm gonna let you go. As a reminder, we will not be here next week, which will be the Friday after Thanksgiving. So we will not be here. I hope that all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I hope that you get to spend it with family and friends, and we will see you in 2 weeks. So what's that? We will see you. Oh, it's like December already. I don't know how that happened. So we will not be here next week, November 29th, but we will be back on December 6th. If you have questions between now and then, you can email them in. I will still save them up for December 6th. So I'm always happy to take those questions if you have them by email, but we will not be here next week. So see you guys later. Thanks so much for being here and have a great holiday. Bye, guys.